What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Wine in the Stars. I'm Jordan, and we're back today with another episode of the Eagle Moss Enterprise D from Fanhome. And we're just marching along, aren't we? We are getting some serious work done. I actually am looking ahead, and I've got, it's two left in this, six. I have 12 stages now. At one point, I think I had almost 20 stages sitting and waiting to go. And so we're getting some work done, but I'm trying to do big swaths of stuff. But what I'm finding is that these stages are starting to get a little complicated, not just including doing the resin windows and all of the rest of the mods that I've been doing as I've been going along. And so, yeah, it's kind of like a crazy thing where I want to do more per week, but the content that I have for just these two stages, kind of like last week, is going to be enough to kind of get us filled up for the next cut for this week. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's get started building stage 35. All right, so let's go ahead and get stage 35 opened. And as usual, I've gone through already, as I've been doing and going to be doing for the rest of the time for this model. I have gone through, I've already done all of my UV resin windows. I've painted my window backs and have them all ready to go for this episode. So let's go ahead and get the rest of this package open. I'm not going to worry about the cards anymore these days. So let's go ahead and very carefully just kind of get everything out here. There we are. And let's go ahead and get that put off to the side. And while I'm reaching up this way, let's go ahead and grab our single-bladed nippers. All right. So we have our screw sets. I think we have 3 screw sets for this stage. So let's go ahead and get our 3 of our little containers out. We have our DP screws. Wasn't quite done with that one just yet, my friend. My friend, that's me. We got our DP screws. We have our BP screws. And I believe EM. We have 4 different screw sets. I was incorrect. So BP, DP, EM, and BM screws. So let's go ahead and get our EM screws out here, which are flange screws. And our BM screws, which are frame screws, basically. Almost dropped a bunch of them out. I've noticed that the BM screws tend to be the ones that we attach, for the most part, all of our frame sections to the frame. All right, I got my 3-in-1 oil all ready to go. We have an LED this stage. Got a couple of these lovely, lovely window sets that I never have to do anything with. And yes, I'm going to say that every single time. Let's go ahead and set those off to the side. Created a little box for those because we're going to need them eventually down the line. And we have our escape pod covers. So let's go ahead and get started. And as a reminder, as always, I'm going to be following along on myenterprised.com as we build along, as Todd has done an amazing job of actually getting these stages to make some sort of sense. And so as we get into stage 35 here, let's go ahead and pull out our panel. And of course, as this is a die-cast piece, this was in our plastic little clamshell. We'll go ahead and set that off to the side. And it's a very simple window pattern. For this panel, I chose not to do any colors or anything like that. So 3 dark windows and 4 lighted windows. So let's go ahead and set that off to the side. And we're going to start stage number 35 by busting out and bringing back the cobra head that we got some work done on last week. And I got to say, it's been pretty cool, getting this all finished up and getting it cinched into place. So we have our cobra head. And for this stage, what we're going to be doing is just simply starting by installing our, very simply I say, by installing our switch into place. So let's go ahead and zoom in. Now, what we have done with Todd, what he had done on myenterprised.com, is he had actually gone through and trimmed down the switch cover because it is quite long, and we don't want that, but that's gonna be how that fits into place. So first up, what we're going to do is I'm going to grab my single bladed nippers, And let's see how far I'm going to need to cut it. I am still waiting for my administration gray from Citadel to come. So I'm not going to be able to paint this turn, but it's no big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and make a mark just like that and just cut. And we're going to go ahead and clean that up just a little bit. Maybe pull it down just a little bit, get that squared off. Very nice. Then I'm going to go ahead and grab my eraser sponge, my eraser file, and we're just going to go ahead and very carefully take care of the end on that. Get it all nice and cleaned up. There we are. Very nice. Now, what we can do, as that's all cleaned up, I'm going to go ahead and take my airbrush, which has got a little bit of charge left in it, I think. It does, and I'm just going to go ahead and dust off any of the dust that we may have created right there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and plug this in place. And what we'll do when I get the administration gray is I will go ahead and get this painted. But for the moment, we're just going to go ahead and install. So I'm going to go ahead and install this. Go ahead and turn this around here real quick. And I apologize if there's any fan sounds. Recording right in the middle of summer is a bit of a faff, so to say. And we're going to very simply secure this in place with 2 BP screws. I'm not giving myself a whole lot of room to work with, so unfortunately I can't really show you what I'm doing too much here. But we do have our BP screws. I'm going to go ahead and just get that into the first spot. There we are. And we're going to grab one more BP screw. And that's going to be a last BP screw for this stage. We're going to go ahead and fix that right into the back. And there we are. Our switch is installed. And to simply turn on the neck, cobra head, we switch it on and off. So there it is. We will get that cleaned up next time with our administration gray, which is the color of this from Citadel, which is what they use for the base panel color. So there is that. And that portion of the stage is complete. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and just take this and set this off to the side until next stage when we go ahead and install this lower section. So let's go ahead and move on and finish up creating the rest of stage 35. So in order to do so, we're going to very simply just go ahead and install our escape pod covers. You can go ahead and get these trimmed up. We don't really need to clean them up because of the way that they are assembled. They sit back behind and flush with the hull, and so you don't need to worry about sanding the edges. If you have a large gate, however, left over, you might want to go ahead and get that taken care of. But what we're going to go ahead and do is take our escape pod cover, and with the little red line you see there, we're going to have that facing down, and we're going to go ahead and just plug all 4 of these into place. Verifying for each one that I got a position in the right way. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of my black electrical tape, and we're going to be doing some light blocking real fast. So we're going to grab, stretch about that much. Grab, cut across. And very simply what we're going to do is we're just going to lay this across the back, making sure to completely surround the escape pod covers. You want to not let any light through, especially as we're going to be hooking up a reflector right up to the edge of this piece. Okay, so there we have our escape pods put in place, and that's what that whole panel looks like all assembled. So let's go ahead and move on to getting this tape put off to the side. Now, we're going to go ahead and retrieve our upper panel, and it's going to be deck panel U302. And U302 is the one that we recognized from last time as the piece that surrounds the outside of the impulse engine. I believe this is going to be the starboard side impulse engine, which is pretty cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and very simply plug this into place, just like that. Now, the cool thing about that is, in order to get this going, the cool thing about that is there's no windows to bounce out, like everything is all secured in place. So we're able to just very simply set this down, kind of manipulate the way we want it to. We're going to go ahead and grab our LED. We're going to go ahead and tuck that right into its slot right there. Then let's go ahead and get our whole panels set back over the top. Just like so. There we are. It took me a second to get that positioned. And then we're going to secure this panel in place with 2 EM screws. And as a reminder, for any time that we're putting our screws into metal or using an EM screw or a metal screw of any kind, you want to make sure you're using 3-in-1 oil. Now, one of the things I'm noticing with this panel is the die cast piece is going to need to sit over the top of this whole panel right here. And you want to make sure that you're getting that properly put into place. Now, one of my EM screws has dropped, and it may have just dropped into the proper container. But for the sake of making sure, we're just going to go ahead and drop that in some oil. All right. Secure this in place with 2 EM screws, being careful not to over torque these, as you can snap the reflector piece. So I'm going to get both of those into place before I tighten them down fully. There we are. Let's get the second one put into place. All right, and there is our whole panel put back in place. You want to really make sure that you're getting these 2 flange screws put in place properly. I did kind of loosen it, and then as I was going to retighten it, I was kind of pushing in and down right here. And you want to make sure that you're tightening these up as tight as you can get them without over torquing. And there we are. So now, my friends, we get to actually bust back out the saucer section, which is super exciting. We haven't seen that since we installed our PCB in stage 31. All right, so there we are. But to install this, we're going to go ahead and turn this upside down, as I find that it is much easier to install these whole panels this way versus the other. So first thing what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install deck panel U303, as we're finally starting to get some panels put back in. This is the panel that we assembled in stage number 31. So how we're going to start is we're going to go ahead and start by grabbing our LED lead, and we're going to go ahead and thread this first part up through this side. Then we're going to grab the loose end of the LED. Let's go ahead and separate that out of the way. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that piece and we're going to go ahead and fit it over the top right here, just like that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to fit the loose end of the LED into this whole section right here. And you should be able to just kind of like gently manipulate a little bit and get the LED put into place without having to do too much here. All right, so that LED is put into place. I'm going to go ahead and bend up slightly like this. I know we're slightly out of frame, I apologize. Let's go ahead and turn this slightly so we can see a little bit better. So now I'm going to take that LED lead, bend that up like that. And then, very simply, you're going to go ahead and install our piece so that it sits flush right here. So as you can see, our LED is coming up from this side, the yellow and black, and then the blue and red is coming up from right over here. we're going to go ahead and secure this in place with 2 DP screws. All right, there is our second DP screw put into place. So I get the other right side tightened up. Try not to make sure you're over torquing here. And there is our whole panel put in place. Let's go ahead and take a look. And there it is. Very cool, man. I'm excited about that. So now let's go ahead and move on. We're going to go ahead and grab the assembly that we started at the beginning of this stage. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take this panel, and this set of LEDs is going to come up through right here and up. And what we're going to do is we're going to we're going to take basically one of our BM screws. And so in order to keep it in place, I'm going to go ahead and get the BM screw. And right at the center lug, I'm going to go ahead and tighten that one down. Not too tight, but enough to hold it in place. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab that second LED that came from this panel that we just installed. We're going to go ahead and fit it underneath this panel right here. Let's go ahead and stretch it all the way out. Fit it underneath the panel, and then it is going to go in the reflector spot right here. And that should just be able to slot in as there's no flange screws holding that in place. We're going to go ahead and make sure that's not bending at a wonky angle. And there we are. And we're going to start by securing this with 6 BM screws into our oil. And we're going to secure all of them in before we tighten them down fully. All right, now that our 6th screw is in, let's go ahead and tighten up the rest of our screws. All right, so that is all installed in place. Now we're going to go ahead and grab 2 more DP screws, and we're going to go into these 2 slots right here. I found the other flange screw where it fell into the DP holder. All right, tighten that down, just making sure not to over tighten that as this is a plastic piece. Then we're going to go ahead and finish off this stage by securing it in place with 2 EM screws. So let's go ahead and grab our EM screws, dip that into our oil, and this is going to hold that reflector panel in place and the LED as well. And careful not to over torque this. And our last screw for this stage. Well, all right, so that is all put in place. We obviously have some LED leads that are going to be going to probably the PCB that's going to be located here on the back end. And I think that this LED set here may be going to either the impulse engine or something right around this area. So let's go ahead and take a look to see how that turned out. And once again, these whole panel sections here along the edge may sit a little up because there is going to be that ring that goes along the edge. And I do worry about a little bit of light bleed through here, but we will take care of that here in the coming weeks. I want to take care of the light bleed all at once after some advice that I got from some people. So let's go ahead and move on to stage 36. All right, so let's go ahead and start stage 36 by going ahead and getting the rest of our package opened and do so carefully. Let's get everything out here. I do see our formation light or nav light, whatever they are at this point. I can't remember. We're going to go ahead and set that one aside. This one's the green side. Our windows that we're going to be doing nothing with. I love saying that. We have some BM screws. Go and get these out. Set that off to the side. And let's go ahead and dump everything else. All right. So first up, let's go ahead and get our die-cast piece out. And we have one colored window, and then, yeah, here's our window panel section for this section. Go ahead and get this off to the side. We'll set that off to the side for a little bit, along with our LEDs and what have you. We have our transporter emitter, which is pretty cool. We have some black electrical tape. We're going to use some of our own as well. We also have some DM screws, which are flange screws. DM there. And then we also have some AP screws. Okay. So we have all of our parts out. Oh no. What are you two? Just things are falling out everywhere. There we are. And we have our AP screws. All right. Fantastic. There we are. So let's go ahead and get started. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bring the Cobra head back. Now that there's this is installed, there's not a whole lot of room to work with. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and lightly set that reflector piece over the window set right here. We're going to go ahead and grab one of these short sets here of lights. We're going to separate them out. And then, oh, the panel came out. There we are. Got these LEDs that are going to be for the upper half of that panel later on. And this is going to be the last plugin that we're going to be making on this PCB, which is pretty cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take the red and yellow, or excuse me, the green and yellow. And we're going to go ahead and get this one tucked into place right there. I say that, you know, it'd probably be easier if we just put this on like that. Get the red and yellow, green and yellow, sitting over its post as it is wanting to do. Then we're going to grab the red side. We're going to go ahead and get it over onto this other portion. Set it down properly where it wants to go. We got our LEDs put into place. And we're going to secure this in place with 2 AP screws. One right here. Now this is going to hold the LEDs down. But what we're going to want to do is cover that, specifically this one, with 2 pieces of our electrical tape. So they give us 2. We're going to use 2. There. Just going to cover it just like that. And then we'll come around and do one of these moves. And there we are. So that is all taken care of, and that's what that looks like right there. Then we're going to plug this into our PCB, and we're going to do that right there. There's one left. So let's go ahead and get that plugged into place. Being very careful about checking your polarity and making sure you're getting your plug put in correctly. We're going to test our lights to make sure that that indeed worked, and it did. Fantastic. All right. So now, the fun part's about to begin. We need to take this tiny little LED, and just like on the other side, we need to do some light blocking. So I'm going to go ahead and cut up some tape, and I will be right back. All right, so I went ahead and got that installed, and it's all put in place, and I just took some black electrical tape and just kind of worked it around there, covered it up, made sure that we didn't have any excess light bleed happening, which is fantastic. Now, we're going to start to install Buddy, I am super excited about this. We are about to install this. Let's go ahead and switch off our lights here. We're going to go ahead and get this slotted into place. So first up, what we're going to do is we're going to bend our LED back like this, just like that. Then, while getting our wires kind of tucked in and routed around, what we need to do is start by getting this portion of it slotted in just like that. There's going to be 2 tabs that fit right up front. We want to start by getting those locked into place. And getting that secured and pushed down just like so. If you've done everything right, your nav light, formation light, whatever it is, will fit perfectly right in place right there. And we're going to secure this in the back with 2 AP screws. Being very careful not to over torque these, but getting it down enough so that you eliminate any sort of panel gaps. So we're going to get both of our screws put into place. Then we go ahead and take a look as we're tightening up. Make sure everything all tightens in very nicely. And that it does. Very nice. Excellent. I'm super excited about that. I like it. Then we're going to go ahead and go along the leading edge here with 3 BM screws. Once again, going into our 3-in-1 oil. I'm not going to tighten all of them down all the way until I have all 3 screws installed. Our last BM screw. All right, that one's now put into place. Let's go ahead and get these tightened up. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit here. Here we are. Oh yeah, that seam is going away very nicely. I like it. And our last screw. And then just make sure everything's all tight. And let's go ahead and get a check to see if we didn't pinch anything off. Perfect. It all lights up. We're all set. Very good. All right. So that, my friends, is that for the battle section. We are all set there. So let's go ahead and finish up the day. Wow, man, that looks really good. Let's go ahead and keep that right there. Let's just keep that there. Make sure we're getting a nice view there. All right, so what we're going to be doing is not a whole lot. There are no escape pods to put in this section, so very simply, we're going to turn this over. We're going to go ahead and grab our reflector panel. We're going to go ahead and lightly set it in place. It's going to sit in there kind of at a funny angle, which is totally fine. And then the red and black, it doesn't really matter which way you're going with it, but I like to follow the instructions that Todd put forward. So the red and black is going to go here on that side. There we are. With the green and yellow over here on the other side. Make sure our LEDs are sitting in there properly, which this one is not. And there we are. They're both put into place. And we're going to very simply just hook these up with 4 DM screws, which are flange screws. Once again, a little strange that each one of these panels seems to have a little bit of a different screw set. I'd rather it be that they have all of the... Oh, how do you put it? I'd rather have it that they have all of the panels go together with similar screw sets and what have you. But that's just me. And go over here into the corner. There we are. Although this does make sense, this is a large flat panel reflector that's going on the back of a die-cast piece, so it's not a surprise that they're using flange screws here. There we are. And let's grab our last DM screw. And the oil. And there we are. All right, there we are. So let's go ahead and finish up today by installing one of our transporter emitter arrays. So we're going to go ahead and peel off the 3M tape off the back here. And just very simply, there's a bit of a cleanup that we need to do up here at the top. And at the bottom, this is photo etch, so we're able to sand up the edge here. There we go. Let's go ahead and get that now tucked into place. And there, my friends, is stage number 36 complete. So, let's go ahead and get that tucked into the screen there. There is stage number 35 right over in that corner. So, there we are, my friends. Next week, we're going to come back and we'll be doing stages, probably 37, 38. And depending on how things go, we may go with a couple extra stages. So, that's what I got for you today, and I just want to say thank you. I know that there was a million things y'all could have done today. Instead, you spent a couple minutes with me watching me build a model, which I think is pretty damn cool. If you guys have any questions or comments, tips, tricks, please leave them down below. If you'd like to support the channel, please like and subscribe. And my friends, until we see each other again, I hope you all have a wonderful day in this beautiful world, wherever you happen to be. And just remember, my friends, to always live long and prosper.